Hello and welcome to my non-traditional Japanese class where I teach you Japanese and you become a pro speaker. So today's topic is going to be the additions to the hiragana alphabet. If you haven't already watched my latest video on the hiragana alphabet, I would recommend doing so before you watch this video. I will link it in the description below. Now let's get started. So basically, I will give you an outline of four major things that we're going to be discussing today and the additions to the hiragana alphabet. So I'm also going to kind of group these together. So 1 and 2 are going to be grouped together here, and they are going to be the 10-10. All right, you're going to pronounce that 10, 10. I'm hoping I don't produce that much background noise. I'm trying to not really make that much noise, so sorry ahead of time. Then we have the maru. Okay, so going back to the 10-10, 10-10 literally means dash dash or line line, and these and the maru means circle. So 10-10 and maru. So these are both going to be additions. Sorry for the atrocious handwriting also. And what I mean by additions is they're going to be added to specific letters in the alphabet. So for example, this letter here is pronounced ka with a K. You add the 10-10, it's going to become ga. So it basically just changes the pronunciation of each letter that we can add it to. And not every letter can have a 10-10 or a maru on it, and I will discuss those specific rules later. So for example, for the maru, we have ha, and that's going to become pa. Okay, so for the next ones, we have 3 and 4, and these are going to be the little letters. All right, so these are also known as the little hiragana or the little, I refer to them as the little letters as of now. So I don't know if you remember this, but from the Y row in the alphabet, we have ya, y, yo. I will write the English pronunciation on the bottom. That's how you pronounce them. Again, sorry for the handwriting. So here, these are going to be the smush sounds. You will see what I mean. Next, for number 4, we have tsu. And this is going to be the jump / space sounds. All right. So take a picture of it if you want, write it down if you want. This is going to be the outline of our whole entire lesson today. So just keep this in the back of your mind, and I'm going to be explaining everything in specifics starting now. So, all right. So here we're going to just be discussing 1 and 2, also known as the 10-10 and the maru. All right, so these are the letters that can have these additions to them. All right, so the letters you see here are the only ones that you can add these things to. So that makes it quite simpler. You know, you just have to memorize these words. So yeah, so here I really like this chart because it tells you how to specifically pronounce each letter with their addition. So for example, here we have K to J. So normally without the 10-10, these words would be ka, ki, ku, ke. Cool? With the 10-10, it becomes from a K sound to a J sound. So it's going to be ga, gi, gu, ge. Go. And let me just explain this chart a little bit if you're a little lost. I hope not. But if you are, this a, I, U, O on the top, it kind of shows you what category each sound is going to be. So if they're under the A sound, they're probably all just A. And that is kind of revealed here because they all have the A sound. So that's basically how they're putting it in there just to make it easier for you, which I really appreciate this. So that's that. All right, so let's continue to the next line. We have S to Z, and that's going to be this line right here. So here I'll say them without the 10-10. So we have sa, shi, su, se. So with the 10-10, it's going to be za, ji, zu, ze, zo. All right, now let's keep going. And as you can see, there is a little exception here. This one. These two are going to be our exceptions. They are pronounced exactly the same way, J-I-G. They don't follow the S-Z rule or the T to the D rule, but they're the only ones, so that's all you have to remember. We always have some exceptions in languages for some reason, so those are the exceptions. All right, let's continue to the next line here. We have T to D, so without the 10-10, we have ta, chi, tsu, te. To. With the 10-10, we have da, ji, zu, de, do. All right. Okay, remember that exception for the chi becomes a G. Okay, so to just add on to the exceptions here, I left out one here. So I said that these two are the G exceptions here, right? We have JI, they don't follow the S to Z rule or the T to D rule. I missed one as well. Here we have Z, and this one is Z, U, and this also does not follow the T to D rule. And actually, these three plus another one, I'll show you. We have here these two, the G's. They're the same pronunciation, just different ways of spelling G, J-I. And then next we have the zoo. And there's two of them again, once more. And there's two ways to say the word zoo. All right, and these three here are going to be the exceptions to the pronunciation in these columns. But those four are just kind of their own separate things in pronouncing those two sounds, so G and zoo. And you have two ways to write both sounds. All right, and yeah, all right, back to the video. Okay, next is H to B. So this is still on the 10-10 line, all right? It's the last 10-10 words or letters, I guess. So, all right, so I'm going to read them without the 10-10. It will be ha, he, fu. Again, hu or fu. If you're saying a word, then it's fu. If you're saying just the letter, then it's hu. Very, very strange, but that's just how it is. All right, just to clarify a little about the hu. This is actually not as complicated as I made it sound last video, all right? So I said that there's two ways to pronounce this word, and it's hu with an H and fu with an F. Now, this is correct. You use this one when you only say the letter, all right? You use this one when you're saying a word with this letter in the word. Okay, so that's basically it. That's all. Back to the actual video. Thank you. Hope that helps. So, ha, hi, hu, he, ho. With the 10-10, we have ba, bi, bu, be. Bo. Sorry there, I got a notification on my computer saying that I have viruses. But I don't have any viruses, so they're obviously just trying to get me to get viruses when I don't even have viruses by giving me viruses through their antivirus computer. I'm so sorry. Anyway, let's continue on. So, did I even read that row? I hope I did. Anyway, so that's what that is there. Okay, so that was the last line of the 10-10s. All right, now we go into the madu. And here, it's very simple. It's just the H line. So H becomes P now. So here, I'll read them again without the madu, which was the same as before, but I'll read them again. So ha, hi, hu, he. Ho becomes pa, pi, pu, pe, po. All right, so that's basically the whole entire 10-10 and madu thing. Just remember this chart, just remember the exceptions of the G's, and that will basically cover the whole thing there for that. All right, so now I will show you next the little letters, the little hiragana. All right, so now we have the tiny hiragana, also known as the little letters. And so, okay, so for Japanese, really, it's quite simple with pronunciation because most of the words, you just read the sounds, which are the letters. So to explain that further on, if you want an example, in English, if we were to write apple, right, you don't read this as A-P-P-L-E. It's called apple, you know. But in Japanese, I'll give you an example. If we have imo, this means potato, by the way, but if we have imo, I'm just reading each letter, and that is the word already. So pronunciation-wise, super simple. There is no smushing in most letters, most words, all right? Now this is where we get smushing in the tiny hiragana little letters. All right, so this is quite simple. You have 3 letters that are going to be doing the smushing. These letters are known as ya, yu, and yo. All right, they're all in the Y family. All in the Y family, and they're going to be doing the smushing. Now, in this smushing concept, these letters are not the ones that are going to be smushed. Remember that, because you will always pronounce ya, yu, yo, no matter what letter is in front of them. Basically, how these letters work, right? So we have an example here. This is ki. You add the ya, and it becomes kya. Basically, what these letters do is they get rid of the E sound here. Bloop, bloop. They get rid of the E sound. They put their own sound into it, smushing it. All right? As you can see, all of the letters that can be used with the tiny hiragana of ya, yu, yo are the E vowel sounds only. You won't see any other ones being added. If you do, they probably just follow the same rule, but I don't really think those exist. So it will just be the E vowel sounds, all right? So here we have ki becomes kya, ki plus the u. Oh, they messed this up here. This is supposed to be u. Sorry about that. We have q, and then this becomes kyo. So you see how the yo remains in all of these sounds. It just kind of gets rid of the E and just adds on and smushes, all right? And just to show you how these are different from when they're normal size letters, I'll write an example here. So, ki, yo, ku. All right, so this you're going to pronounce ki, yo, ku. So that is a normal sized yo. So you pronounce all of the letters separately making their own word, all right? Now, let's say the same exact thing, but now it's a tiny letter, all right? It's a tiny yo. Now what you're going to do is you're going to get rid of that I here, and it's just going to be kyo, ku. Now this means song, so they are totally different because of you smushing them, all right? So that's, I don't know why there's a little dash, so don't worry about that. So that's basically the whole rule to the tiny hiragana, right? Not that hard. You will get this. There you go. And in the bottom half of this chart, you can see that the letters that are E vowels that have the 10-10 and the maru can be smooshed using the tiny hiragana. They don't, oh yes, they do show the maru. Okay, so that's also that. Also follows the same exact rules with what I showed you before. All right? All right, so next I'm going to teach you the tiny hiragana of the tsu. So this is number 4, and this is the tsu. Basically, this is quite simple. This is known as the well, to me, I started this, but it's known as the jump slash space letter. So whenever you see a tiny letter of the tsu, it's going to create a space between the two letters that it's in between. I'll give you an example. So if we have here, all right, so this is ki, this is te, this is tu. But in this case, because it's tiny, what you're going to do is you're going to kind of hold out the key a little, and then you're going to jump, and you're going to say te. Let me show you how that happens. So we have kite. So kite. Do you see what I mean? It kind of jumps, and it creates the space between the two words. Here's another example. So oh, by the way, kite means stamp, but also, I mean, you don't really need to know these. If you were curious if they were actually words, there you go. All right, so atta we have. So this is a, and this is ta. And what we have a little tsu there. So what are we going to do? We're going to jump. We're going to create a space. It's going to be atta, atta. This actually means two things, honestly. So it means like if you found something, you'll be like, I found it. This is atta. All right, I found it. Or if you are telling a story or something, or you're telling someone how your day was, and you said that you met up with someone, then you can say, atta. I met with that person. あの人と会った. All right? Don't worry about the sentence structure yet. That will be next lesson. So, yeah, so don't worry about the definitions. If you were curious, that's what it was. So basically, that is what the tiny tsu does. So to compare with the bigger tsu, if these words had the big tsu here, this would be a totally different word. It wouldn't even make sense. So it would be ki, tsu, te, kitsute. It's not even a word, okay? Kite is a word, all right? If this was a, tu, ta, it's not a word. Gotta make it tiny, all right? Gotta make it tiny. That's not to say that there aren't words with the big tsu in the middle of them, all right? There's actually a word, ki, tsu, ne. This means fox, all right? So there are words with the normal sized tsu. It's just once it's tinier, you add a little spice and it makes new words, all right? So that's basically all I wanted to teach you today. So just remember there's 4 additions into the hiragana alphabet, and now we have successfully achieved the hiragana alphabet. Just look back at the charts that I showed you before. Maybe rewatch the lesson from last time describing all of the pronunciations of the hiragana alphabet. So thank you for watching. You've mastered the hiragana alphabet. Next lesson will be katakana alphabet. And yes, so if you want more Japanese videos, subscribe down below, comment any suggestions, any corrections, any questions, anything, and we'll probably see them. And yeah, let me know what you think of these. So thank you for watching. I hope you have a lovely day. Goodbye.